Have you ever felt that something big is about to happen, but everything around you seems to be stopping you? What few know is that when God marks you, the enemy rises up, battles increase, and, interestingly, this is the sign that your breakthrough is closer than you think. When God's chosen one feels a growing spiritual tension in their life, it is often a sign that a breakthrough or great advancement is about to happen. Spiritual battles intensify, and resistance seems to arise from all sides. It's as if every move toward the divine purpose encounters an invisible barrier, an obstacle that tries to prevent progress. But the truth is that this resistance, far from being a sign of defeat, often indicates that the chosen one is on the right path. The Apostle Paul reminds us in Ephesians 6:12 that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. This struggle is spiritual, and the signs of tension are evidence that something greater is about to happen. The experience of spiritual tension can manifest in different ways. Perhaps it is a sense of inner restlessness, a difficulty in moving forward in areas of life that once seemed easy. Or maybe it's a direct attack on faith, where the chosen one begins to question their journey, their prayer, and even the signs they receive from God. At this moment, it is crucial to remember that this resistance is actually confirmation that the enemy recognizes the power of the chosen one and is trying to undermine their faith. Jesus also faced spiritual resistance during his ministry, but he never deviated from the purpose God had for him. During these periods of struggle, the chosen one needs to remember to pray with more intensity. Prayer is their greatest spiritual weapon. It connects them directly to the power of God and opens doors that the enemy tries to close. The signs of resistance should not discourage them, but rather motivate them to stay firm. There is a spiritual breakthrough on the way, and this tension is just the prelude to a great victory. It is at this moment that the chosen one must rely on their faith, remembering that God is in control, even when circumstances seem contrary. True faith is not based on what is seen, but on what is believed. These signs of tension can also indicate that the chosen one is being prepared for something greater. God uses these spiritual battles to strengthen the spirit, shape the character, and purify the heart. It is like gold passing through fire before becoming pure. The chosen one must see these struggles as opportunities for growth, as moments when their faith is being refined to bear the weight of the glory that God is about to pour upon them. The breakthrough that is to come is proportional to the resistance the enemy tries to impose. The feeling of stagnation and frustration is something many of God's chosen ones encounter on their spiritual journey. It is that feeling of being stuck, as if nothing seems to be moving forward, like everything has stopped in some kind of limbo. However, this state of frustration can actually be a sign that God is preparing the ground for great change. Psalm 40 verse 1-2 reminds us that even when we feel stuck, God hears our cry and pulls us out of pits of destruction, placing us on solid ground. The chosen one needs to understand that often the period of stagnation is the prelude to divine transformation. During these periods of apparent inactivity, the chosen one may feel powerless, questioning their faith and wondering if their prayers are really being heard. This is the moment when despair may try to take over, but it is also the moment when faith is most tested. God may be allowing this stagnation to realign the chosen one's heart with his purpose. Just like a seed that remains hidden in the soil before sprouting, the chosen one needs to understand that God is working behind the scenes, preparing everything for the right moment of revelation. The frustration that accompanies stagnation can also be a tool used by God to remove any dependence the chosen one may have on their own strength. When all doors seem closed and answers seem distant, the chosen one is brought to a place of total dependence on God. At this point, they begin to realize that it is not by their own efforts that things will change, but by divine grace and direction. Jesus, in moments of apparent silence, never ceased to trust in God, and the chosen one is called to do the same. Keep their faith firm, even when they do not see signs of change. These moments of stagnation also serve to refine the chosen one's heart. God may be using this time to purify motivations, deepen character, prepare the spirit for the next phase of the journey. The frustration that arises during this period is a reminder that the chosen one is not destined to stay where they are, to grow and move forward. It is important to remember that God never leaves us stagnant by chance. There is always a greater purpose at work, even if we cannot see it immediately. This is an opportunity for the chosen one to pray more fervently and seek God's direction with renewed hope. When the feeling of stagnation seems most intense, the chosen one must remember that God is an expert in transforming the impossible. Psalm 40 gives us hope that, even in the most difficult moments, God is present, working in our favor. What seems to be an insurmountable wall may actually be a door about to open. God has perfect timing, and often the chosen one's frustration is simply the result of their impatience. But if they wait on the Lord, this stagnation will be broken, and a new season of spiritual growth will emerge. During these moments of stagnation, it is essential that the chosen one remains faithful in their faith and spiritual practices. Even if it seems like nothing is happening, prayer, meditation on the Word, and seeking God's presence must remain firm. Jesus himself taught us to persevere in difficult times, and it is this perseverance that will lead the chosen one to a great breakthrough. The feeling of stagnation is temporary. Faith in God is eternal. Chosen one needs to trust that God is using this time to prepare them for something much greater than they could imagine. When God's chosen one finds themselves in a period of stagnation, it is common for spiritual attacks to intensify. The enemy, realizing that the chosen one is about to experience a breakthrough, increases their opposition in an attempt to divert them from the path set by God. 1 Peter 5:8-9 warns us to be alert, because the devil, your adversary, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. These attacks are not just evidence of the enemy's resistance, but also signs that God is about to act powerfully in the chosen one's life. And it is precisely at this point that the chosen one must strengthen their faith and remember that they are not fighting alone. These spiritual attacks can manifest in various ways: feelings of discouragement, interpersonal conflicts, financial difficulties, or even a sense of isolation and doubt about God's purpose. The enemy tries to use these situations to undermine the chosen one's confidence, making them vulnerable to fear and doubt. But the chosen one must remember that these battles are part of the spiritual journey, and that God has already equipped them with the necessary weapons to overcome them. Fervent prayer, meditation on the Word, and seeking God's presence are the primary shields against these attacks. During these moments, the chosen one also realizes that the enemy tries to manipulate their emotions and thoughts. Spiritual attacks are not just external, but also internal, affecting the mind and heart. Thoughts of failure, fear of the future, and insecurity may begin to surface more frequently. However, this is where faith in God's protective power needs to be strongest. The chosen one is called to pray fervently, cry out in the name of Jesus, and to cling to God's promises. The Apostle Paul, in Ephesians 6, instructs us to put on the whole armor of God so that we can stand firm in the day of evil, and this armor is essential for overcoming these attacks. Moreover, these spiritual attacks can be a sign that the enemy is trying to prevent the fulfillment of something great. The chosen one should see these moments of opposition as confirmation that they are on the right path. The increase in the intensity of the challenges is an indication that the breakthrough is near and that the enemy is desperate to divert the chosen one. But just as Jesus himself resisted the devil's temptations in the wilderness, the chosen one is also empowered to resist with firmness, knowing that God is with them every step of the way. In moments when spiritual attacks intensify and the path seems more difficult to walk, God's chosen one begins to experience supernatural clarity regarding divine direction. God, in his infinite wisdom, uses these moments of struggle and confusion to reveal his will more deeply and directly. The chosen one realizes that the more they pray and meditate on the Word, clearer God's signs become. Jeremiah 33:3 tells us, "Call to me, and I will answer you, and show you great and mighty things which you do not know." It is during this cry, this intense search for God's presence, that divine direction becomes evident and undeniable. This clarity does not come abruptly, but as part of a process of spiritual refinement. The chosen one realizes that the more they surrender to God in prayer, the more God begins to open their spiritual eyes to see beyond earthly circumstance. The scriptures, once read as mere texts, now come to life, offering answers and direction that they had never noticed before. Every verse, every biblical story seems to speak directly to the chosen one's heart, guiding their steps with divine precision. God begins to show the right path, dispelling doubts and placing peace in the heart. Prayer becomes the channel through which the chosen one connects their faith, divine will. In moments of greatest darkness, prayer transforms into an intimate conversation with God, where He reveals His plans clearly. These revelations come not only as thoughts or ideas, but as certainties that invade the chosen one's heart. They know they are hearing directly from God, and this gives them the courage and confidence to move forward. Divine direction, when revealed, brings with it a peace that can only come from God, even in the midst of storms. God's word also becomes a spiritual map. Passages that once seemed ordinary now carry greater weight, as if they were direct answers to the chosen one's prayers. God uses His word to illuminate the way, guiding the chosen one in the most important decisions of life. Every choice, every movement is filtered through the lens of the word and prayer. And by following this direction, chosen one begins to see how God is connecting every detail of their life to fulfill His divine purpose. It's as if everything, finally, starts to make sense. When God's chosen one follows divine direction with faith and obedience, they begin to notice that new opportunities start to open up in their life. These opportunities may arise in unexpected ways, like doors opening at the exact moment when the path seemed blocked. In His wisdom, God prepares these openings to lead the chosen one into a new phase of spiritual growth and the fulfillment of His purpose. Isaiah 43:19 reminds us, "Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth, shall you not know it?" God always does new things, and the chosen one begins to see these opportunities manifesting before their eyes. These new opportunities can be of various kinds: a new job, a new relationship, or even a new spiritual path. Often, they arise from places and people the chosen one would never have expected. God works in mysterious ways, and it is precisely when the chosen one thinks there is no way out that God opens a door of opportunity that will lead them to something greater. Trust in God and obedience to His direction allow the chosen one to see these doors and have the courage to walk through them, even if they lead to unknown territory. Every open opportunity is a new chance for growth and to experience God's provision and power. The chosen one must keep in mind that these opportunities are not coincidences, but part of the divine plan that God had already established. The Lord is always working for His chosen ones, and when a door opens, it is because God is preparing something great on the other side. Faith, at this moment, is essential. Even if the road ahead is not completely clear, the chosen one must trust that God is ahead, paving the way for them to move forward with confidence. These opportunities also bring challenges, and it is important that the chosen one faces them with wisdom. Just because a door has opened does not mean there will be no obstacles. However, the difference now is that God is guiding the way. He opened the door, which means He will also provide the resources, protection, and direction needed for the chosen one to take advantage of this opportunity in the best way possible. This requires the chosen one to continue in prayer, seeking divine guidance every step of the way to ensure they are fully aligned with God's will. Additionally, these new opportunities are often signs that the breakthrough is approaching. The chosen one may feel that the promises God placed in their heart are finally coming to fruition. It is a moment of celebration, but also of renewed spiritual vigilance. The enemy will not give up easily, and it is important that the chosen one remains firm in their faith, knowing that God is in control of every new stage. Every open opportunity is a chance to glorify God and walk more deeply in His purpose. When God is about to lead the chosen one to a new phase in their life, He often removes old things and even some people from the path. This process of detachment can be painful at first, as it involves leaving behind what once seemed important or comfortable. However, it is necessary for the chosen one to move forward towards God's divine purpose. John 15:2 reminds us that God, as the gardener, prunes the branches that are not bearing fruit, so that they may bear even more fruit. This spiritual pruning is essential for the chosen one to grow and thrive in the new ground that God is preparing. This detachment does not mean rejecting the past or despising the people and experiences that were part of the journey so far. Instead, it is a recognition that God is doing something new, and that certain things and relationships may have fulfilled their purpose. The chosen one begins to understand that for every new door that opens, some old doors must be closed. Spiritual wisdom lies in discerning which doors these are and accepting the process of detachment with faith and trust in God's plan. The removal of people from the chosen one's life can be especially difficult. Often these people may have been important in previous phases, but for some reason, God is moving them away. This may be due to differences in spiritual paths or because these people. This process of detachment also involves inner transformation, where the chosen one lets go of old habits, fears, and insecurities. God is shaping the character of the chosen one, removing everything that hinders spiritual growth. This may include the need to break free from patterns of thinking that limit faith or from concerns that once dominated the heart. The chosen one begins to realize that the more they let go of the old, the more space they create for the new blessings that God desires to pour into their life. As the chosen one detaches, they also experience spiritual renewal. This process of cleansing allows them to move forward with greater lightness and freedom. They realize that by leaving the past behind, they are actually preparing for something much greater. This detachment, though difficult at first, brings deep inner peace because the chosen one knows that God is in control and that everything is being carefully orchestrated for their good. The hope of a new beginning and trust in divine protection sustain them in this process. One of the most powerful signs that God is working in His chosen one's life is the inner peace they experience, even in the midst of the fiercest storms. This peace, as described in Philippians 4:7, surpasses all understanding and guards the heart and mind in Christ Jesus. It is not ordinary peace based on favorable external circumstances, but a supernatural peace coming directly from God. The chosen one realizes that despite the challenges, opposition, and even the painful detachment from things and people, there is an inexplicable serenity that keeps them firm. This peace is the result of total trust in God and the certainty that He is in control of every detail of the journey. This inner peace does not mean the absence of problems or struggles, but rather a spiritual stability that allows the chosen one to face adversities with courage and faith. Even when the world around them seems to be falling apart, the chosen one knows that their faith is anchored in Jesus, the unshakable rock. It is like being in the eye of a hurricane, where chaos may be around, but the center remains calm. The chosen one understands that this peace is a gift from God, a sign of His constant and protective presence, and they begin to cherish every moment when this peace floods their heart. This peace also has a profound effect on how the chosen one handles difficult situations. Instead of reacting with anxiety, fear, or despair, they respond with serenity and confidence. They know that God is by their side, guiding every step, and this completely changes their perspective. They don't need to have all the answers because they know that God is already preparing the way. This peace allows the chosen one to continue praying and waiting on the Lord with patience, knowing that God's timing is always perfect, even if they do not understand everything at the moment. As God's chosen one advances on their spiritual journey, they begin to realize that God not only speaks directly to their heart, but also uses other people and circumstances to confirm that they are on the right path. These confirmations come in subtle yet undeniable ways, as if they were divine reminders that they are not alone in this walk. Proverbs 11:14 says, "Where there is no guidance, people fall, but in an abundance of counselors, there is safety." God places godly Christians around the chosen one to offer words of wisdom and encouragement precisely when they most need to hear it. These confirmations can come in various forms. Sometimes it's through a casual conversation with a friend or spiritual mentor, who, without knowing all the details, speaks exactly what the chosen one needed to hear. Other times it is a sermon at church or even a message that appears on social media, offering the comfort and clarity they were seeking in prayer. It's as if God is using multiple channels to reinforce his purpose and calm the chosen one's heart, showing that they are on the right path, even when doubts try to creep in. Additionally, these confirmations can also come through the circumstances around them. The chosen one may notice that certain events begin to align in unexpected ways, as if God is organizing everything in a perfect divine schedule. What once seemed difficult or confusing starts to make sense, and they see how God is moving the pieces on the board so that everything works according to his plan. These circumstances serve as reminders that God is actively involved in their life, guiding every decision, every encounter, and every new step. Now that you know the signs indicating that God is about to act in your life, I want to know, have you noticed any of these signs along your journey? Share your experience in the comments. Your story may inspire others. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue learning and strengthening your faith. Let's walk this spiritual journey together.